Thank you, Kalle. Thank you, Augusta. I'm very, very happy that Tang is here. Thank you for coming, flying half around the globe in these times. While, in fact, it seems easier at the moment to come from Hong Kong here than to come from Vienna. So, and you took the chance. Before we start, I would like to ask the people who are here, is anybody uncomfortable with the English? Would you like us to, I mean, for us, it's not my native language, it's not Tang Sua's native language, so we stumble through the English, but if anybody really insists he or she wants it translated into German, I will try to do my best. No? Okay, so let's get started. Why don't we start with your first poem, Tang Sua, and afterwards I'm going to introduce you in more detail. All right?
Okay, thank you, Anja. And the rundown is totally decided by Anja, and I'm so pleased to accept a German setting. Okay, okay, and I'm so glad that Kali paid a great effort to prepare for the subtitle of my translation of my poems, and I would read the poems in Cantonese. It is the dialect used by most people in Chinese language, but it's not official. This is a dialect, Cantonese, Guangdonghua. Okay, and nowadays it becomes a strong symbol of the identity of Hong Konger versus Chinese. Okay, that's why that everybody knows that everything in languages cannot get rid of politics. Okay, so I would read the first poem track, 80.
Just a second.
Okay, for the 80。有一天醒來，人們發現自己已不再需要多餘的覆蓋。他們發現自己手上有一柄扇子，讓他們可以往遙遠的天空拔涉。他們被拔掉的智慧齒重新長出來，他們在痛苦中清醒。五金店拒絕了鐵，只給了他們眼罩；浴室拒絕了泡沫，只給了他們毛巾；廚房拒絕了刀，只給了他們保鮮紙；經文拒絕了祈禱，只給了他們口罩；旗幟拒絕了徽號，只給了他們花的意象。一種拒絕繁殖的花，紫紅滄桑，無視根據季節的命令，隨時開放。他們因為一無所有而輕快，因為意志而傾向柔和。他們的手向天空高舉，成為一棵棵樹。他們長出橄欖綠的葉子，抽象理念的雕塑，比如一雙白球鞋般樸素，像一個書包般充盈，接近一張舉目椅那樣承受，穿過荊棘鐵欄的玫瑰那樣自由。在自由中承受，在承受中前進，在辛辣中柔和，在驚訝中平靜，在獨立中連結，在最後的關頭沒有隱喻，真相赤裸焚燒，火中的松果噼啪滾動，煙霧覆臨，他們忘掉自己的赤衷，因為他們看到自己的臉，從未如此清晰。死亡的奏樂並不能停止他們，各種試煉都無法擊倒他們小而脆弱的傘。他們向天空深處拔涉，那時他們並不思考太多，克服所有的記憶，所有的鳥群隨之尖鳴起飛， 那是我們從未見過的巨大的雲。
Thank you, Stuart. When I read this, is it a new poem?
This is a poem actually I write in 2014. Maybe people here knows that there is an umbrella revolution at that time, and the revolution in 2019 we call water revolution. Okay, and it's inherited from 2014. So this is a quiet poem. I would say a calm poem, soft poem. Right in 2014 when we meet, in Iowa.
I was just thinking you must have written it while we met.
Yeah.
The two of us we got to know each other at the International Writing Program in Iowa, where we spent 3 months in 2014, and it was the time during the umbrella movement in Hong Kong, and I remember you at the time that you were. On the one hand, happy to be in Iowa, on the other hand, very happy not to be there and to participate in the movement and to experience the city at that time. What struck me when I read this poem was, as you say, it is soft, and I had this, there are these strong images of being powerless. Like, what stuck with me was you enter the kitchen and you search for a knife, and the only thing you will find is plastic wrap. And this is something like you want to cut, but you find something that will suffocate you if you think it to the end. And this is a kind of a contrast to how I perceive you as a person, because you have to know that Suwa is basically, she's running the literary life in Hong Kong, or at least this is my impression. Suwa is the publisher of different magazines in print and online. She publishes books. She's a curator of exhibitions. I don't know what she's not doing. She's a writer, and she's running a TV show, a weekly TV show where for an hour literary topics are discussed, something we here can only dream of, in fact, to happen. So when I think about you, I think about different definitions of power. And there are these definitions that say power is the ability to oppress, and there are these other definitions that say, power is not the ability to oppress. This is actually a sign of weakness. Power is the ability to make things happen, to always be in a dialogue with different aspects and enable people to step forward. How have your projects developed during the last months? For example, your TV show, did it gather more audience, or did people stay away from your show because they were busy with other things?
Thank you, Anja, for introducing me. Actually, in Hong Kong, many people are very busy, especially me. As busy as a monster and among the writers. Okay, and actually, I'm holding a TV show who discuss literature topics every Tuesday. Yeah, it runs every Tuesday night, and for example, we discuss in Italo Caffino and the week before last Tuesday, and during, I think maybe some of you know that Hong Kong the national security law had been passed in Hong Kong in this July, which really limited our freedom of speech as a public speakers, and freedom of speech and freedom of press is also endangered. And everybody in Hong Kong knows that actually the books in library, they have put some very good children books which introduce some basic concept of democracy, but they put it in a closed shelf of the library, and so the public is not easy to reach that book. It's nothing. That's why everyone knows that actually knowledge and arts and literature and news, they won't be as free as before. So actually, there are more people is watching my TV shows because they know that I'm participate in the movement and I'm a liberal person, and when we talking about classic, we actually commenting the situation of present society. So there's just like some kind of secret codes, and we can pass gesture, and then the audience knows that. So there are more people is willing to learn and read in past few months, and our TV show actually get more feedbacks and audience, and just because the people had realized that if we have to continue our movement, we have to learn more. We need more knowledge, and we need more preparation for the future.
What is the kind of knowledge you think literature has to offer to a political movement like that?
There's a story I shared with you. One of my friends, he's a university professor, and he's very popular on the Facebook. And one day he introduced the book 1984. And of course, in this time, the book is very popular and is out of stock in Hong Kong. And then after that, he received a message from a boy who is primary school 4, grade 4, is maybe 10 years old, okay, 9 or 10 years old, and he the message said that, "Oh, dear professor, thank you for introduce the book 1984 to us, and I have read it." And 10 years old boy, and he read 1984, and I have read that. Okay, this is a very good book. Can you give us more recommendation? But if you can, please introduce some with Chinese translation, because I'm really primary school for year 4, so I cannot read the English translation. And we just so moved by that message and almost cried. This is not a very good day for the Hong Kong school students. Yes, because the schools in Hong Kong are under very great pressure. Many teachers is punished because they are just talking about liberal things and about actually basic concepts of liberal study, and they got punished. And those things is totally okay when there's in old Hong Kong. Just after the pass of national security law, and they have been punished. Some of them lose their job, and so actually this is not a good year, not a good time for the schools and study. But they have. This is also the best time I saw in my life, that people are most willing to learning, and that they will have to what literature can give them. Maybe in this is kind of floating how the reality is running. How the reality is running is a kind of analytical knowledge, okay, and also I think literature can give them some kind of power of sympathy and empathy, and they can try to release their pressure. The whole movement in 2019, it's totally unnamed. Most of people doing things and they cannot speak of it, and some people their names was taken, and many of them they just cannot say that this done by me. And you cannot tell your story to the public what you're doing. For example, you are doing some severe protest and you cannot spit it. So this kind of unnamedness is an untitledness, I would call. It will naturally give birth to fiction and poetry. And so they know the power of literature very naturally. So this is also, my magazine received a lot of works that comes to us. Just maybe it's just a simple record of how they go back to home after the protest. But it already looks like a very magic realistic fiction.
So you receive a lot of new works, you say, and it's anonymous. And you also said that you speak in Cantonese because this is what is spoken in Hong Kong, while official China will use another. Yes, this was about what I wanted to say. So, is there a kind of language conflict here? This first part of the question. The other part of the question is, when somebody hands in something in written Chinese to you, is there a way to determine whether this is Cantonese or mainland Chinese? Because with my not very rich knowledge about the Chinese language, I thought it was signs, and you could basically, they corresponded to concepts, and you could like name them in every language. Like, for example, if I know the sign, I can also attach the German word for, I don't know, pen or writing to it, can't I? So can you see if it is Cantonese in the written?
We can tell. This is let me put it. Okay, actually, this is the Cantonese is always not the official language. In the days of colonial days, and the official language should be English, and it is of course in higher priority. And noble people speak English. Okay, they are proud to be said. Oh, my Chinese is not good. Okay, this is how the high school girls, which is. Born in a very rich family will say that. This is a kind of a signage of class, your class. If your Chinese is not good, that means you are in a higher class. Okay, just like this. And Chinese is divided into written Chinese and spoken Chinese. For Hong Kong, spoken Chinese is called Cantonese. Okay, Cantonese is a dialect which many people use it. I think it's a bigger part of population use this dialect, but it's always marginalized. Okay, after 1997, the official language can be Chinese, but this is written Chinese, and the Chinese government and also Hong Kong government, of course, they want to promote the official language is Putonghua, okay, Putonghua, or Mandarin. To the Hong Kong society, and the society actually feels that there is some political agenda behind that. So that have driven people to support Cantonese. Yes, in this 3 or 4 years, Cantonese is a very big movement, and in many books have been published, and if you are talking about something about Cantonese versus Mandarin, this is will arouse a very great concern on the Facebook. And should I tell the difference about Mandarin and Cantonese?
That depends on you.
Okay.
If you think it's good for us to know, because we will understand.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. In Mandarin, Mandarin is more easier to learn than Cantonese. Is frankly speaking, in Mandarin, there's 4 tones. Deng, 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 deng. Okay. deng, 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 deng. That's only 4 tones, okay? Each tone will signify the different words, okay? But in Cantonese, there's 9 tones, okay? Dong, 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 dok, dong, 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 dok. Okay, 9 tones. So it's very difficult, and that's why, you know, Spivak, the famous scholar of post-colonialism, and Spivak had taught in Hong Kong for 3 months, and she said, I must learn Cantonese. Okay, she failed, okay, because it's a very difficult language. And Cantonese is more, it is, how to say that? Cantonese is more hard. And you see with the dong sound, the language seems to be more easier to express the emotion of anger, okay? Emotion of anger. And for those kind of soft emotions, soft feelings, such like love, okay? We usually speak love as like. If we say in Cantonese, I love you, we usually say, I like you. Okay, it's a kind of the extent of this kind of soft emotion will deduce, and because this is a language for, yeah, we speak of history. This is language of fighting. It's not a language of loving, and yes, that's.
So do you, I grew up in Bavaria, so in this region, and while I was growing up, dialect was still a very strong thing, and it was also a social marker. Like there were subdivisions in dialectal forms, and whether you could switch from the dialect to a standard version of German would signify your status of education and also your social class. Is there anything similar, or do you see it on the horizon that it may become a class marker, whether you have the ability to switch from Cantonese to Mandarin or the other way around? Or is it so far really divided, like you have people from Hong Kong and you have the people from mainland China, and there's no switching going on between the languages?
Switch, I would say of course actually I don't think personally, I don't think there's a hierarchy between Mandarin or Cantonese. Cantonese is more difficult, so to me it's more interesting, but Mandarin is more easy to handle, so I can handle it too. That's, for me, I'm a very pragmatic person. But nowadays we can see in the ordinary life, there's many sign of things that people will arouse people about. Cantonese is undergo some kind of danger. For example, the chicken wings, okay? The chicken wings, everybody is okay. The chicken wings, there's 2 ways of speak of chicken wings. Okay, in English translation, they are all chicken wings, okay? It's not easy to demonstrate. Okay, if in Cantonese, we will say gai ye. It's 2 words, gai ye, okay? And if they they speak in Mandarin, it will be 鸡翅膀, 3 words, 鸡翅膀. But the battle is in the schoolwork. If the student writes 该业 in past days, it's okay. You won't be deducted. No, your mark won't be deducted. But nowadays, in some of the schools, if you write 该业, your mark will be deducted because they said you are writing an oral language. It is grammatically wrong. You have to write 鸡翅膀. Okay, and people are very against it. Okay, they found that this kind of hierarchy, and this hierarchy is imposed by the educational system and, of course, the political power behind.
Should we listen to some more Cantonese? Would you read us another poem?
Okay. Okay. This
You're thinking, should you do it? Should you not do it?
No, I'm just thinking, should us listen to your work first?
Listen to my work first. Okay, we can also do that. No problem.
Because Anja is my very good friend, and I'm a big fan of her. When she's in Iowa and she's in Hong Kong in 2017, every occasion she do reading, she just rule that, and everyone says, "Oh, Anja is the queen," or something like that. So it's.
I'm not the queen over here. Rest assured.
Okay, but so as I know that she have a very small project to us, bring to us. So this and
Yes, I'm gonna say a few words in German, okay?
oh, of course.
Also, ein kleiner Werbeblock in eigener Sache. Kalle hat es schon gesagt, vor 2 Jahren bin ich hier gesessen und habe den ersten Teil dieses Buches aufgeführt. In der Zwischenzeit habe ich es fertig geschrieben und es ist erschienen und man kann es auch kaufen. Man höre und staune, es liegt auf dem Büchertisch. Also, das ist der Werbeblock. Aber for today, I've chosen to read from another project because when I was in Hong Kong, you were running an exhibition where there was one book on display, and people could not buy this book and they could not take this book home. They had to read the book in the spot. And I found it very interesting that that there was this gesture of withdrawal and reduction and taking it away from people and forcing some sort of concentration on them and say, so you stay here and read this if you want to know. And coming from a very different side, I also have a project where things are reduced. Since 2015, I've been working on a project called Aus der Welt in 33 Sätzen. And it's always it's portraits of fictional characters I dream up. And I portray them in triptychs, I call them, like in 3 pages, and they are not getting, sometimes they're getting published in magazines, but there is no book, there will be no book, but I then put them in these little paper bags, and I give them to the audience, and today we are so little people, almost everybody will be able to get one. Usually it's, they are not, well, it's a project of reduction, so there are not many of them. I'm going to read one of these Aus der Welt in 33 Sätzen und dann gehen diese kleinen Tüten in die Welt zurück. Ich werde die dann hier auslegen.
They are in the same color.
Yes, that's right. Guess why?
That's your favorite color. And also the and also the glass.
You got me there, ja. Aus der Welt in 33 Sätzen. Aber es gibt diese Hochebenen, denkt sie. Gelege von anderer Art, gerade, wenn die Tage als kurze und trockene Flügel darübergehen, manche Flächen sind blau, rascheln, als seien sie bis innen hin silbern und Fische wie Glasnadeln stehen, Steine und Steine im Überschlag, Sprünge, das heißt hier, gelenkige Luft senkt sich in Felsen, schlägt sie zu neuen Flächen auf, für weitere Striemen aus Dotter und Rot, ein wenig zu spröde, verbautes Wasser, die Arme der Flechten nötig wie unbrauchbar und voll kratzigen Mineral, denkt sie, quer, will die Pupille sich legen für sie, sich dehnen um eine Luft dicht schraffiert davon wie die Steine klacken, wo sich das Leben im Auge behält, während es sich vergisst. Als gegliederte Stille, die einzunehmen wäre wie eine Entwurmungstablette. Nur, dass die Seele wahrscheinlich kein Wurm ist, denkt sie, oder sie ist sich fast sicher. Keine Schuppe, die trocknet und abfällt, selbst wenn sie so über die Flure hetzt, immer neue Kleine im Arm, sie hebt, legt ins Gezischel aus Wänden, Türschlitzen und die Schuhe klappern. Das ist keine Schale, die splittert und springt. Die Seele ist ein Netz, denkt sie, und sie kommen zappelnd darin auf die Welt. Man tupft, man wischt, sterilisiert und immer, all die Jahrzehnte bleibt etwas, das sich nicht abzupfen lässt. Eine ewige Eihaut, Bindegewebe, das ein Kind bis in Mund und Magen verklebt, damit was es denn antrifft, mit der es zu verdauen, augenblicklich zu lieben beginnt, tobsüchtig, gnadenlos anzulieben, denn wo im Kessel man es auch einsetzt, es ist immer schon angerichtet, bereit. Jahre später wird es sich denken, vielleicht genauer müsste man ich liebe sagen, wie mir ist, mir tut, und auch das filzt sich ein, dass alles an jedem Pünktchen des Körpers sitzt. Und das hat sie noch nicht mal gesagt. Und auch nicht, seien Sie vorsichtig, die Seele ist unsterblich, solange ein Mensch auf der Welt ist. Sie hat das Wort Seele gar nicht benutzt. Nur konnte sie es kein weiteres Mal schweigend mit anhören. Die Wispersätze, Ziel Kindsohr, die Lüftungsanlage, sich an beiden Orten mit all den anderen zu drehen. Du braucht ja nicht viel, das braucht es nicht. Und viel hat es nicht gebraucht, bis es zu viel ist es nicht zu gebrauchen. Da brauchst du dich gar nicht, so schaut es aus, dass dich keiner braucht, zu nichts, wozu du zu gebrauchen wärst. Sich in den Filtern zu kreiseln, ballen, wirbeln, einen Spin so schnell, dass manche Glieder sich lösen und schlüpfen ins nächste Respirationssystem, das Besitz ventiliert. In alles, was angehörig ist. Ich habe eigentlich nur ausgeatmet. Sie haben gesagt, jede Kuh kann es besser. Nein, ich habe gesagt, manchmal ist es besser, weniger zu reden. Küssen Sie Ihr Kind, denken Sie daran, wie die Tiere es machen. Sie sollen gesagt haben, schlecken Sie es ab, aber doch nicht immer. Das ist keine Frage von Frequenz. Deswegen habe ich ja vom Paradies. Ich habe gesagt, es ist sicher kein Zufall, dass die Tiere im Paradies ihre Namen nicht akzeptiert und nie mitgemacht haben. Dafür sind ihre Zungen frei geblieben und ihre Kinder auch. Sie haben hier eine Dienstleistung zu erbringen. Ich kann es doch nicht abschlecken. Und so also, denkt sie, entlässt man sich. 30 Jahre sind eine lange Frist, aber immerhin. Dann war die Schleuder, gute Zunge, böse Zunge, endlich gespannt und schon hört sie die Klinik nicht mal mehr dröhnen. Still ist es deshalb aber noch nicht. Macht nichts, denkt sie, das wird schon. Wenn es denn stimmt, dass Menschen unter Identifikation und Aussonderung zerfallen wie falsch gelagerte Ausweispapiere, also nur nachgeben müssen, sich niederlegen in ihrem Mantel, der leisen Saat, Schaf- und Käferstückchen, die zirkuliert, schließlich tief in die Haut sich von innen Fische, Büschel, die silbern vom Magen aus blühen, wie man sich an einen Speicher denkt, droben, hoch, wo das Gehirn durchtrocknen kann, eine Samenkapsel und alle Gedanken verhuschen, sie motten sich ein darin, ganz bestimmt. So, and now we're going to hear you. Come on.
Well, I think we should clap for Anja, actually. Thank you for Jimmy by your reading. Okay, there's something I want to speak about Hong Kong's movement. There's 12 Hong Kong youth who is contained by China. Actually, they are already get charged by the Hong Kong government for what they do in the revolution in 2019, and they try to smuggling to Taiwan. But unfortunately, just after they go out of the sea area of Hong Kong and entering the South China Sea, and they immediately caught by the police on the ships the Chinese police. So they are adopted in now they are in Chinese. It's Shenzhen, should be Shenzhen prisoner, and their lawyer and their family cannot reach them for more than 60 days. Okay, and actually many Hong Konger like me is really hurt by this news, and because they have been do so much for the revolution that they have to go smuggling because their passport is contained by the police, and so they have to go smuggling, and we are very worried about the situation now, and actually I can't get in sleep just after I know that news, and I don't know none of them, and I didn't meet none of them in person, but just a kind of how to say that, this is a kind of a collective of resistance. We call in Chinese is foot and hand. It's 手足, okay, and foot and hand. We just call the protesters on the front line. Just call you 手足, and if you call them 手足, even they never know you, everything will go fine. Okay. So there is a international signature campaign to ask the Chinese government to let this 12 Hong Kong youth to come back to Hong Kong, and please make sure their basic human rights can be ensured. For example, let the family member meet them and let them choose the lawyer. This lawyer choose by the family, and the government assign some lawyers to this. So terrible, everything is so terrible, and more than 60 days no one sees their face and no one knows what happened. There's a girl in their 12 youth. She's only 16 years old, and she has a very deep depression, very strong, very severe depression, and we are very worried about her. Okay.
So, and the campaign is a Twitter campaign?
Yeah, it's a Twitter campaign.
And die deutsche Version steht hier: Seit 2 Monaten sind 12 Hongkonger durch die chinesische Regierung verhaftet. Wir können uns bis jetzt nicht über ihre Situation informieren. Dann geht's auf Englisch. Join the campaign, post a pic of you and tag 3 friends to spread the word. Und der Hashtag ist Self-12 Hong Kong Youths. Und das schreibt sich Safe und dann 12 als Zahl, Hongkong abgekürzt als HK und Youths. Das ist der Hashtag Save 12 Hong Kong Youths. So I wanted to ask you anyway, as you seem hesitant to read your poem. So it's for us it's possible to support this campaign. What else do you think the European community, especially the writing and literature community, could do to support Hong Kong? Is there anything?
Oh, there's a lot of things can do. Actually, we are all rely on the international friends now. Yes, because within Hong Kong territories, there's only very little things to do, and the freedom of speech and the freedom of press is endangered. So if you and we are very glad that there's we say the international line foot and hand, we'll call that international line foot and hand is in many countries, and if you do receive and if you do read any news that about the human rights in Hong Kong and freedom of press in Hong Kong, please do support it. Please make your government to support the protester and support the critical side. Okay, and also I think if you can receive any arts or creative work from Hong Kong, is already from the resistant collective, I would say. So please pay a little time to read them and try to understand it. Okay, I think we have this kind of a long fight to freedom. I think actually each nation will have sympathy to us.
Mm-hmm. So actually it would be a good idea to, for example, collect poems from Hong Kong and translate them and show them to the public.
Okay.
Okay. So
okay, I'll try to do it.
Go ahead, and we will try to organize the translations. Yeah, okay. Let's see if we can do this. And yes, now you seem ready to read the poem.
Yes, is this about?
Okay.
That's why I want to. This poem is about the unshareable pain. Okay, the unshareable pain with somebody maybe actually you are not known that well. You know that not that well as you can really feel that we can share the deepest feeling or pain with them. But actually this poem is about sharing. That's why I want to tell you guys about so many stories about Hong Kong protester. This is, although this poem is maybe 10 years ago, but actually that this kind of enormous solidarity and solidarity with someone you don't know. Okay, this kind of strange feeling. That's why I have this strong feeling of that. So that I write a lot, a number of words about it. And this one is I like most. So I want to share with you the abstract sameness. 抽象同一，夜比生存悠長，比冰短暫。當一切在暗中變形蒸發，綿密的話語只來自星辰，我們蒼白而暗淡如灰石。當你探身向黑色的泉水，你就品嚐它的封印，舔過冰涼，影出身後的影子。封印是一種褫奪，並且是一種寧靜，不可理解的黑色泉水，無窮反覆的歷史，迷失的小小慾望。我從來無法說清，黑色斷然是液態的，它的刺下包攬眾音，眾音都有反面。提聽以無上之謹禮小心。純然是為了挨近那恐怖的寧靜。要穿越風，才能聽見樹林；要觸摸燈光，才能平復星辰；要關閉所有可能，才能喘上一次虛幻；要把自己釘在虛無之上，才能辨清世界的結構，肯正值得為之推敲，並在感官崩潰之後，遇見自己破碎的手。所目擊的星辰早已死去千萬年，所有的話語都是遺書，眾音的反面就是眾音自身。短短的軟弱的夜，主結構停當清晰，封印黑色褫奪寧靜，無疑他們是同一物，痛苦。痛苦無法理解或分擔，示意我們留在彼此身邊。
Let's see if we have time for one more. Yes, we have time for one more quick question. And you had this in the first poem you wrote. You had this verse saying that in the end, when at the final point, there will be no more metaphors. and that the truth is blazing nakedly, which is a phrase that stuck with me. And on the other hand, you have I think the motto, at least as it transpired to this place of the Hong Kong Revolution last year, was "Be water." Be water, my friend. And this is a very powerful metaphor to say, just be elusive as water, just change your shape and like trickle into anything there is. And so I was wondering, and I hope it's not too crazy a question. So is poetry, if you say like the schools are restricted and books are banned from the libraries and so on, is poetry the literary water of the revolution? Can it act like water?
I think the revolution is in a very big scale. So of course it has a place for poetry, and it is just as I said before, it's naturally poetic because you cannot speak directly, straightforward. You cannot be too straightforward just after the national security law, okay? And before that, this really go pragmatic and doing something realistic, and seems literature is just too leisure and too difficult to understand during the revolution. But just afterward, we need to how to say that? We need to release the emotion of ourselves, and we need to just maybe speak some touching, comforting words to others, and that's poetry is important. And sometimes we need imagination of future. We have date among all the protesters. We have to meet we should meet in a place in our ugly city hall. Okay, we said it's a date from the underneath of a pen. Okay, 煲底之約. Okay, okay. I should check the translation before. Okay, and just this and there's a very actually. It wrote in a very childish way that, oh, if we have that day come, what will we do? And that is very simple and just kind of very funny thinking, but make me burst in tears, quite uncontrollably. And many friends, and they are poets, they also do this, also cry that uncontrollably. And this is just something, a power of that literature speak the opposite, I would say. When there's very desperate or very you have strong suppression from the reality, and sometimes poetry and literature just speak the opposite, and this our right to do it in literature. And I think just to the degree of depression in Hong Kong, or I think poetry or literature is more and more needed.
Thank you, Siwa, and be water, my friend.
Yeah, I have bring the magazine that titled "Be Water, My Friend" in here. If anyone is interested, of course, it's in Chinese. And "Be Water" is that. Do you guys know Dragon Lee, the Chinese, the Hong Kong kung fu player, very famous in Hollywood? Okay, that's his saying. "Be water, my friend." It is kind of kung fu philosophy. And you have to fight with your fight with your enemy in any ways you can think about. You cannot take a one stable and fixed method to fight them. So we have to change our shape and change our practice and change our routes and run just until we get the success.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.